Ooh-wee, there you go. Now, so I got everything tight here. This comes straight into here, on down to there. This is all tight. And these have little thumb tabs on them. And normally, you should only have to tighten those up hand tight. Okay, that's what I'm going to try first, and then I'm going to run it through the water, let the water go through there for a few minutes, make sure there's no drips. If there is, then I can take my channel locks, and only then will I take my channel locks and tighten these up just barely, you know, just barely more than I can with my hands. All right, you don't want to go too tight, because if you do, you could crack one of your nuts, and it may just have a hairline crack in it. You may not even realize that you cracked it. Now all of a sudden it's leaking. Okay, and so I checked everything. It looks like a professional plumber has hooked all this up, right? But just an average Joe did it, and you just want to make sure everything's tight. I've already tightened everything. This one up here, because it was a metal nut, I went as hard as I could with my hands, and then I just took about an 1/8 turn with my channel locks, because these are plastic threads, and this has only been installed for a day or so. I don't want to go too hard and then have a possibility of this whole thing twisting inside the sink cavity, because that's been attached with your plumber's putty. You remember? Okay, and so everything looks like it's in its place now, and you can do a once over, check it, make sure everything looks right. We'll plug the garbage disposal back in, and then I'm going to do a water test on it. And remember, before I do the water test, I got to remind myself, after I turn the water valves on. I have not turned the water valves on yet since I installed this sink faucet. I installed this faucet the other day, and I'm going to want to take the end of this off after I pull it out of here. Okay, and then I can take this whole end off by unscrewing it, and then let it run with water for the first time after I turn it on for 15-20 seconds on the hot water side, and then on the cold water side, to flush out any impurities, any sediment, any sand, grit, particles, whatever that may have gotten in the line from turning the water off. And then when you turn the water on, sometimes that loosens up stuff in your pipes. Did you know that? And then it could get caught in your aerator. Then we've got to take the aerator all apart and clean it out and all that. Okay, so a few more steps I've got to do before I call this project complete. And I'll say you got your money's worth on this one, though. Normally you don't have to put something like this in here. Usually there's plenty of room in there. You saw the other sink, you had a piece about that long from here up. Well, in this case we didn't have that, because this sink is deeper, this sink is shallower, the garbage disposal outlet is where it's at, and this basket strainer is deeper by about 1.5 inches more so than a standard one. I'm not sure why Ruvati did that. Granted, this area here is deeper. It didn't really need to be deeper. They didn't have to do that, but they thought they were doing somebody a favor by giving them a nice little basket like that deep and everything, and have that on there. Or if you want the water left open just to drain, you can leave it like that. But that was some of the reasons, the culprits, why this side was down further than that. And you know, we could have put the sink strainer basket on the left hand side, the garbage disposal over here on the right hand side, and would we have had the same problem? I don't know. I don't know if we would have had the same problem. I think we might have. No, maybe not, because this sink is down further. Okay, so yeah, this would have been down lower on this side for the garbage disposal, and then we would have had enough room because this would have attached not down low, it would have attached way up high up here, see? But that would have been tricky too, because then the garbage disposal would have been right here, right in the way of where the drain is. So, you know, all said and done, it's really the way it should have been installed, okay? Just like this. Alrighty. Oh, that's funny. Look at all the extra parts I got. I got all kinds of parts there, parts over here, parts here. I never would have dreamt that I would have to go back to the store a second time to get that other fitting. I never knew I was going to need that. And like I said, most times you don't. Okay, watch these videos from start to finish on different projects that I do in the condo, and you'll soon realize that, hey, there's a lot of things here that I can do myself. Or you may realize, oh, yeah, I'm glad VideoJoe showed me this, that, and the other thing, because I don't really want to do those things. I'll get somebody else, a handyman, to do those, because I don't think I can do it, or I don't feel comfortable doing those particular things. But the other things he was showing, yeah, I can do that, that. And I'm glad he showed me about a ceiling fan and how this works and how he hooked that up to a handheld ceiling fan remote control and all that kind of stuff, and all the other things. Okay, I'm trying to do this for your benefit, for you to save money on your upcoming projects. Hey, well, that's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more videos. And what am I going to talk about next time? Well, you know, all this is going to be done. Well, I guess the next thing I've got is this pedestal sink. Mommy's been on me like stink on you know what to get this pedestal sink back in here. And we took it out initially to put the new flooring down, to tear out the old flooring and stuff. And I've been doing all kinds of other stuff, and I was dreading doing all this other stuff here, and I thought, no, let me do all the kitchen stuff first before I do this pedestal sink. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be doing on an upcoming video. Oh, she took off somewhere. I don't know where she went. Where'd she go? Well, here's the pedestal sink. Here's the section that stands up, and there's a little V, you know, a U-shaped area that goes a bit up against the wall, but away from the wall a little bit. This gets bolted to the wall, and I've got to be real careful with that. And I've got some special. One side was a nut with a wing nut on here to push that through. And I had to buy some wing nuts for a toggle bolt, and I did make sure it fit that. And I see this side is a long bolt, and the silly guys, you see those get bolted in from the back here. It's going to be kind of tricky to get all in there and stuff. And I don't know, whoever installed these, a flunky, was told, hey, just put the wing nuts in and stuff. And the funny thing is, where he drilled this hole to put the wing nut, there's actually plywood that was a plywood backing here. The guy drilled through the plywood so he could get his wing nut in there. He could have just used his bolt and bolted it in. Now this one here, the bolt goes in and hits wood. That might have hit a wood stud in here or something, and I'll bet you dimes to donuts that he drilled a hole initially, and he was gonna drill it to put his wing nut in there, and the wing nut wouldn't fit because it hit the stud, and that's why they put that bolt in there. But see, they could have ran the bolts just into the plywood. Now maybe for some reason they decided, oh, that plywood's only 5/8 of an inch thick or a 1/2 inch thick or something like that. They didn't feel comfortable bolting screws into just 1/2 inch plywood. But my word, you got these two screws here, and it doesn't hold the weight of the sink off the wall or anything, because the sink is set on top of the pedestal, you know what I mean? And when I painted, I didn't try to clean all this and everything. This told me exactly where the old sink went. And this floor is about the same thickness. That's a 1/16 of an inch thinner than what was on this floor before. It was 3/8 oak planking, tongue and groove planking. And we've got 5/16 vinyl laminate planking. Okay, so most of this is going to be okay. I'm thinking the sink is going to be about right there, and I'm going to end up having to caulk this anyways. Okay, and so that's going to be up on my upcoming videos. Watch for it on my channel.